Afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we get started, I just want to make sure that everyone has had a chance to make a copy of the slide deck. We are going to be kind of going back and forth into some links that are there, so it's really helpful if you had that open. The other thing, if you have not registered, there's a bit.ly there for the LDSB K-12 Mathematics Minds online resource. We are going to be using some of those resources and taking a look at some things that are in there. If you've already registered, great. Just please have that open again on another tab. Okay, let's begin. So I just would like to acknowledge that the Limestone District School Board is situated on the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee. We acknowledge their enduring presence on this land, as well as the presence of Métis, Inuit, and other First Nations from across Turtle Island. We honor their cultures and celebrate their commitment to this land. So today is really just an introduction to the new curriculum. There's a couple things we're going to focus on, but this is just an introduction. So we're going to really focus on some of the resources available within this digital version. We're going to dig a bit deeper into the social emotional learning and the math processes. We're going to highlight some changes to specific expectations that will probably impact the intermediate grades, or will impact the intermediate grades. And we are going to explore some Limestone resources that are available to you to support this math curriculum. So for this curriculum, this new curriculum was developed by Dr. Christine Sertam and her team from Ottawa U. This was great news. We have worked with Dr. Sertam in the past here in Limestone, and she has influenced our learning. The curriculum was also developed with input and research from other math experts from Canada and around the world. And as you go through it, you might hear some voices of experts that we have used and worked with and learned with in the past here at Limestone. As well, they reached out to teachers and got input from teachers and workplace experts. And I think that's directly linked to the coding and financial literacy expectations. One thing I was immediately excited about as I looked through this curriculum was how this new curriculum directly relates to the work we've already begun over the last 4 years and longer here in Limestone, as reflected in our LDSB Vision for an Effective Math Program. So as we go through this presentation today, and as you explore this curriculum on your own, I'm really hoping that you'll see these links as well. So one of the resources that is available on this online is this high impact instructional practices in math. So this curriculum not only presents the expectations of what is taught, but is very clear about how we approach teaching math. And this is where this document comes into place. So as you can see on the right-hand side, these are all strategies that I know we have learned about, we've been implementing in Limestone for a number of years. So when I first looked at it, I thought, yep, that's good, we got this. But as you read through them, you might notice that there is some really detailed descriptions of each and how and what this actually looks like in a math program. I'm just going to highlight one, for example, direct instruction. So direct instruction is carefully planned to model, clarify, and extend thinking. During direct instruction, students are engaged as the educator models, labels, questions, and checks for understanding. Direct instruction can happen during guided investigation, during practice, when giving out feedback, and during consolidation. So a much more detailed look at what these instructional practices are and how they impact our math program. The other one thing I just want to highlight is for each high impact practice, they've broken it down into what it would look like as students begin their learning, and then as they're progressing their learning, and as they are deep within the understanding of a concept of their learning. So for example, I'm just going to like success criteria. Our success criteria might change as students become more comfortable with the content, as they have a deeper understanding of the content. We're going to change that success criteria to reflect that. I encourage you to take some time to read this, as this is the model through which the curriculum is meant to be taught. Which leads us to the strands. So it is divided, the curriculum is divided into two key components. Strand A, which is encompassing those high impact instructional practices through social emotional learning and math processes. So this is how we teach. And then strands B to F are what we teach. So we've got number, algebra, which includes coding, as well as the process of mathematical modeling. We have data, which also includes probability, spatial sense, which combines or merges geometry and measurement. And then finally, we have financial literacy. So today we're going to dig a little bit deeper into Strand A because it's new. So what I'd like you to do is take a few minutes to look at the specific skills for social emotional learning, which can be found here. I'm just going to click, this is a live link. So if you're in your slide deck, you can click on it. So we are in the curriculum resource. And this is just in the curriculum context part. The strands of the mathematics curriculum. I'm just going to start my mouse. I'm just going to find my mouse there. We're going to scroll down. And I'm going to keep scrolling until I get to this chart. Not that that's not important reading, but today we're just going to, this is just a little summary for us. So the social emotional learning skills, so there are 6 of them, and you can see those on the left-hand side. And so what we have here is a pretty detailed list of what this actually means. So what does identification and management of emotions mean? Here is a list of what that could look like or what it is. And then stress management, coping, etc., all the way down. On the right-hand side, there is some sample strategies. But what I would like you to think about as you're reading this is some things that you're already doing in your classroom that promote and support the social emotional skills listed on the left. And then once you've thought about that, or you've got some ideas, or you've got some sample connections that you can make, I'd like you to go into this Jamboard. So Jamboard is just an extension of Google. It's a really great tool for kids to share their ideas. So this is our page 1. And up here, I can just click on the arrow. It takes me to the next frame. So the next frame does include identify and manage emotions. And on the right-hand side here, I'm just sort of going back to my first frame. And sorry, I'll take you back here too. So this is the first skill. And then slide 3 is just the next skill. Like we just kept on and going there. To add a sticky, you just, on this left-hand side, just click on the sticky note. You can write something. You hit save. You can change the color of your note if you want. And then it's there. I can move it wherever I want. I can make it smaller. And if I just hit my backspace, I can delete it. So let's go back to the presentation. So this is what you've got about 10 minutes, again, to explore that chart with an explanation of what the social emotional learning skills are. While you're reading them, think about strategies that you already use in your classroom that are linked to that, and then go to the Jamboard to put in your ideas. So about 10 minutes. Thank you. Okay, and I think we'll go into that Jamboard and just take a look at some of the comments. And then if you have something as we're talking, feel free to add more. So I'm just going to start with the first one, which is this one. Definitely having that space, I'm not sure who wrote that, but having that safe space for students to express their frustrations, having a relationship and modeling acceptable ways to express themselves, I think is really key, especially in grade 7 and 8 when there's definitely the learning becomes a little difficult for some of our students. I also want to point out a couple of the, like providing breaks through instructional day. How do we let kids just take a break, take a breath, take a breather? I did want to highlight.
And Prisha, can I add to that while you're there? The power of, while you're working, knowing when you need to walk away from a math problem, but to return to it. So to recognize the source of stress, but then return to the thinking and the learning after the break.
And I love how Joe Bowler is getting the call out here. I love Joe Bowler. And I love the week of inspirational math. I think the key is how do we continue that inspirational math throughout the entire year? How are we providing opportunities for our students to persevere with the task? maybe try something that they've never been exposed to, but connections to what they already know. I think it's linked to feedback. How do we get kids, instead of providing a mark, I know someone might get shut down. If we're just getting always feedback, how does that create kind of that perseverance with our students? And I think that links to what Joe Bowler as well supports. Jackie, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think you've covered that, Prisha.
Yeah, and one thing I do, like this one was empty, and that was actually empty in a lot of in the primary and the junior one as well, except for some comments about still needing to actually support students with like accountable talk or talk moves of how do we disagree respectfully with each other, how do we question each other, and how do we build that into our math program all the time. Okay.
And I'd like to speak to that one, Prisha, because I think also if we're going to help students communicate effectively and build relationships, our practice has to involve opportunities to have something interesting and rich to talk about and to communicate about.
And that actually to the comment here about, like, that means that, like, if we're doing a reflection of mathematics, then you're right, like that richness of the activities we're doing. I love that. Letting kids think about what they've learned and what their next step is and what they feel successful and have had difficulty with. I don't think there was, no, there was. Again, like reflecting, I think the think critically and I think that will include then using math manipulatives and visuals to really help them think critically and creatively as well. Okay, thank you for doing that. We're going to continue on. So if you are in the Jamboard, you might want to come back to my presentations as we're moving forward with that. Just give you a second to do that. The other part to the social emotional learning is mathematical processes. Now, this isn't new, so I wasn't going to dig really deep into it, but I do want to highlight a couple of things. First, that is a link, a live link at in the blue there, to the mathematical processes within the curriculum. And as you're reading through it, you might notice that they are much more detailed than the previous curriculum, and with an explanation of what this could look like in your classroom, which I really appreciated. The other part that I noticed is some processes and skills like proportional reasoning, estimation, using and selecting concrete materials or visuals. These were once specific expectations within our curriculum, but not necessarily mentioned now. That doesn't mean that we don't do that. It means that they're just expected to be incorporated into our math programming and to help in order to support students with their understanding. There are some key points about assessment and evaluation. So number one, I'm sure many of you have heard this, that there's just one mark on the report card, and that's going to encompass all the learning that was taught all during that semester, including Strand A. So I'm just going to read this little part here. The student's application of the social emotional learning skills and mathematical processes must be assessed and evaluated as a part of their achievement of the overall expectations in each of the strands for every grade. I think I know I would need to do a little bit of learning about what that looks like in assessment and evaluation, and I think as a board we'll do some learning together about that. That one mark on the report card, there's no specification of number of strands. So I know before the ministry statement was that you are professionals and you will do what's best for your students and you will teach the curriculum according to the needs that are in front of you in your classroom, and that's what you will assess on. What is the same is the growing success, and actually, sorry, through the triangulation of data, that's not new. That's the same. So the growing success still guides us with assessment and evaluation guidelines, and the achievement charts are the same as the previous curriculum. So now we're just going to take a look at some of the specific expectations that have changed for the grade 7 and 8. So this is a live link too, if you want to click on it. This is within our K-12 mathematics resource. I'm going to click on it here, but if you cannot access it, this is the link to the curriculum document as well. So I'm just going to click here. So you will need to be registered within the LDSB K-12 mathematics to access this document in this setting. But I just want to show you where this is in case you have not. I'm just going to go to home. because I've had some people ask me, how do you actually get in here? So once you've actually registered, I've had about 4 or 5 emails this morning about this. You're going to click on K-12 mathematics. It's going to come to this. I'm going to click on elementary. And then I have all these tabs. Within this, there is a lot of resources that are available to you that will support your program. We will be going through them ourselves, making sure that they do reflect the new curriculum as best as we can. But this is where we start right here. Anything that is connected to the curriculum, we're going to put in here. I'm not sure if any of you got Jesse Lalonde and Misty's presentation today, but they have created, with just a little bit of help from me, a coding document that goes through from grades 1 to grade 8, activities starting from grade 1 to grade 8, and also language of what these expectations actually mean. So very helpful, videos and everything, it's wonderful. So that'll be here as well, accessed here as well. They're just finishing up some key points to it. So this is the comparisons. So over the summer, I've created some curriculum comparisons. This is my interpretation. You see a mistake or questions, I can, when I click just to first page, and move this over to actually. So you'll see that along the bottom are the tabs. We have strand A, and then if you click on, I want to look at strand B. I'm just going to highlight a couple of things. So first over here is a little key. New expectations are altered significantly, completely omitted, or change or variation in number or action. And if it was a change like to grade level, I tried to put in which grade the expectation went to. This is the overall expectations for the new curriculum are the same from grades 1 to grade 8. They do not change, but the specific expectations obviously do. So as you go down, you'll notice that there's some changes, some things that you've omitted. And what I'm hoping that you can do is I'm just going to go back to my presentation. Take a couple minutes, pick your grade or look at both grades, and then go back into that Jamboard. And once I'm in that Jamboard, I'm going to go to the 9th slide. So I'm just going to click on the arrow here, and I'm going to go to slide 9. And I want you to think about some things that you've noticed. So what are some curriculum changes in the intermediate grades that you noticed already that kind of stand out to you? So you've got about 10 notice. What I would suggest is that you just go on a strand, and hopefully not everyone focuses on number strand. Maybe some people can pick data or space or whatever to just try to get some ideas of what has changed. And if you have any questions about those instructions, I'm going to be quiet again to let you explore, but if you have any questions or comments, just put it in the chat box. Thank you. Sorry, I'm looking on my iPad what people are putting in, sorry, and not on the screen yet. So yeah, we're starting to get some people adding some things now. So including now numbers now include irrational numbers, that's new. Yeah, that whole part about inequalities, that's new, and it's from grades 4 to 8 in algebra. So by the time they're in grade 8, hopefully they have an understanding of a little bit more of an understanding of inequalities, but it'll definitely be new this year for your 7s and 8s. There's lots of expectations that have kind of moved down to grade 7, like circles, surface area of cylinders, that sort of thing. Yeah, the data management has changed quite a bit too. They've changed even what type of data you're looking at. Someone just added the infographic. Yep, that is new. Again, grades 4 to 8. That is from grades 4 to 8, students will be making infographics in data, and the combination of and geometry into social or spatial sense had made significant changes. You'll notice that actually as you go through. So this is just kind of a start of some changes, but I'm just going to highlight a couple of things that kind of made me think. So math facts is new from grades 1 to grade 8. So that does make us think that there are some things that students need to know as math facts. I think in grade 7 and grade 8, it might be the square roots and the square numbers. But just because it's a fact doesn't mean that we don't teach it in a way that we're supporting students build their fluency and their flexibility through different activities to help them build that automaticity. We still want students to have automaticity, but we just need to get them so that it is something they just know.
Tricia, can I just add one thing to what you just said?
Yeah.
So just to add to that, for those of you who haven't done a lot of learning about fluency and flexibility, we're really thinking about students understanding number, not just memorizing those facts.
Yeah, that is detailed within the curriculum. It's not meant as memorization, it's meant to understand the numbers. Some things that I mentioned, the inequality, I just made kind of a list there. Some of the algebra is more aligned to what the grade 9 curriculum, and maybe Jackie, you can talk a little about this because you know the grade 9 better than I do. The algebra curriculum is more aligned to what is right now in grade 9 curriculum. So that would be like...
Sure, and the language as well has aligned. So yeah. We see growing and shrinking linear patterns, and we're talking about them, talking about a constant rate of change and an initial value, which is language that would be used in secondary. And we have to be a little careful if we're using from patterns to algebra, because there we talk about a constant and a multiplier, but the multiplier is actually a constant rate of change. So we just have to be a little aware of that language there. And the addition and subtraction of monomials and binomials, that's language we use in grade 9, and that's a skill that we work on in grade 9 currently. So that is a change for sure. So that introduction of monomial and binomial language.
And I kind of felt as I was going through it, so some things were kind of released to grade 7, and other things to kind of give room for some of the math learning that has been combined with the grade 9 curriculum. So I didn't really see a big change of stuff being taken out necessarily, but more of a reorganization of some things.
And as we talk about how that connects to the grade 9, I don't know if everyone is aware that the grade 9 curriculum is being rewritten into one de-streamed math curriculum. So it seems to me that there is some alignment between the rewrites of the two curriculum documents in order to better support students as they go into a de-streamed grade 9 math class.
Yeah. There is actually on the website too, like I've created these charts for you, but also within the digital version of the curriculum, there's a list of some other changes that just the new things. They haven't talked at all about what's been taken out. I hope that those resources are supporting your learning and understanding of the new curriculum.
And can I say one last thing about those documents?
Yeah.
First, I think we need to thank Prisha for doing all of that hard work and hard thinking to lay those documents out for us. I think they're incredible. And when Prisha first shared them with me, I had two reactions. My first reaction was, oh my gosh, this is incredible and what a really valuable resource for folks. And my second reaction was, I feel quite overwhelmed. There's a lot in here, and I had to give myself permission to read some, think about it, walk away, come back, use some of those perseverance strategies that we use with our students, and just keep coming back to it, because each time I come back, I see something new. So give yourself permission to take time to digest and make sense of all of these changes.
And they are view. So if you click on it and we've made some changes, that'll be, if you save it, that'll happen to yours as well. We'll make the changes within it. Because we're still learning as well. So we'll just keep on learning that way. Thanks, Jackie. And there was no problem. It was a fun way to learn the new curriculum. And last but not least, we did create for you, we wanted to kind of show how we can connect the limestone resources that we've already created. And now that you've had a chance to look at that new curriculum or the new specific concepts, we can link them to our social emotional learning and math processes. So what we try to do is think of some things that directly linked activities that you will find within our Minds Online resource. So I'm just actually going to pick one. So for example, building a relationship and communicate effectively. If you click here on the thinking routines, it'll take you within our Minds Online. And I actually think that thinking routines would support a lot of the social emotional learning. But these are routines and strategies in place in the classroom to support critical and creative thinking, get kids talking, get kids asking questions, and really thinking more deeply about math. So there is videos, there's presentations, and there's more videos.
And I would also add to that, Prisha, that there are many resources there ready for the classroom.
Yeah, that you can just put in the basically that and use that strategy, or use that strategy to help you teach it. For example, in data, we've got what does this graph tell you? Again, this is another slideshow. Helps us understand the story, but getting kids to think critically about their thinking in math. So hopefully you'll have some time after this presentation to take a look at those links and think about how you can incorporate the social emotional learning into our and actually maybe teaching through the social emotional learning to support us with the specific context or expectations. And last but not least, the ministry has already added teacher supports within the specific expectations, which include definitions, explanations of key concepts, and some examples, but not a lot of examples just yet. I'm expecting that more examples will be included. They also are adding, from what I hear, they're adding long-range planning resources and other resources like sample tasks and that sort of thing. So once these come out, we will share the information that they have been released. So the great thing about this curriculum is that it's interactive. They can keep adding stuff to it, and they have, once teacher voice gets in there, they've been to support teachers if they can. So that is today. I thank you so much for coming, and I hope you have enjoyed Summer Suit today. If you have any questions or comments, you can just put them in the chat bar, and actually I'll get out of this and then we can see that. Where is it?